Welcome to the meeting point on Delta Television. My name is Michael Ikogu. Today we'll be looking at the topic 2023 elections, state of preparedness of political parties in Delta State. I have in the studio two gentlemen to help us look into this topic for the day. By my immediate left is Aiwerioghene of the Nation newspapers.
Good evening, viewers, and thank you for having me on the
My pleasure, sir. We also have in the studio Mr. Eduvwie. He's a research fellow, Center for Leadership and Complex Military Study, NDA, Kaduna.
Good evening, Deltans and non-Deltans.
You are welcome, sir. Okumbowa, the primaries have come and gone. Submission of names of candidates have also been done. Only that we are waiting for the August 8th and August 18th for the final opening for submission of candidates for presidential, National Assembly, governorship, and State House Assembly. How do you see the political parties in Delta State? How prepared are they for the 2023 election?
Thank you. The political parties are gearing up, and even though campaigns have not started, you can see that there's a lot of activity, political activity. Even all of the governorship candidates, they have emerged. So it's subterranean, their methods now. They are not campaigning, they are only trying to network and, as it were, reach out to across, whether ethnic, socio-cultural bodies, whether they are just crisscrossing the state. And when campaigns will start, we'll see. But the major parties, the top parties, appear to be more in the media, because it's clear that some parties are in the background. Though they have they have gubernatorial candidates, they are mainly not as loud as the big 3 or 4. So, by and large, Deltans should expect fireworks when in September, when a campaign starts.
Okay, you said that the only the two major political parties are the ones who are hearing for now. For me, I thought that the one that we should be hearing now are those people those political parties that don't have what would they say now, enough structure, followership in the states, making noise here and there to see how they can win people. But unfortunately, what we are seeing now is that the two major political parties, the People's Democratic Party and the All Progressive Congress, are the ones who are hearing about. Do you think it's heading for the 2023 election?
I greet Deltans and Nigeria in general once again. We should understand this. There's what we call a democratic process. And a democratic process, before I answer your question, let me try to explain certain things. When the election actually, before we start talking about election, we had what they call registration of newly voters, and also those who are doing transfer of their polling units. Especially some of us who are in about that have to vote in Eduvwie. We have to do transfer in order for us to be in a safe place in the course of the election. If you look at that, so far the political parties in Delta State have not actually they did not actually assist the voters in pursuing their various voters registration. It was just lately, when we start having a third force, that the issue of voters registration became as loud as in fact, I think this is unprecedented anyway. A lot of people started having interest here and there to go and register, but there was no help from political parties. Although the help came when we were getting to the close of that voters registration. Such help comes with this sensitization. That time we started, I think a week to when they are closing registration, we started seeing vehicles all around saying that we should go and vote. Even on TV, and data broadcasting service happened to be a major actor in this particular process. The station went about sensitizing voters. Ordinarily, it would have been the job of politicians to have done that, actually sensitizing voters, not just waiting for, let me say around February, when they want to do the election, you just carry people to go and vote. You must actually follow the process so that the people will actually feel carried along in the course of the whole thing. And to answer the question, it's very simple. I don't think we are ready for election at this moment, especially in Delta State. When we look at the various issues that are combating the various political parties immediately after the various primary elections, we are still in the process anyway. When we talk about preparedness, I think if I should rate it by percentage, it should be at about 15 to, let's say, 20% prepared, some of these political parties.
Okay, what you are saying now is based on what you are seeing in the media or the activities of the political parties? Because I don't know the political party you have bias for. What I know about some political parties in the states that they do internal preparations before the campaign proper. And on what basis are you giving this judgment? I live more in Kaduna than in Delta State. If you, in the course of the voters registration, there is one particular, the INEC, the Independent National Electoral Commission, actually introduced a new aspect of it. That new aspect is pre-registration before you go to the INEC. Go to INEC to do that registration. You do it through your phone, or you go to cyber cafe where you will fill the detail, your names and all that. Then you now print the slip and take that particular slip to INEC. It is upon that slip that INEC used to register voters. And in Kaduna, for example, because we have to learn, life is all about experience. Once you move, you see how others do theirs and bring it to your state. In Kaduna, for example, almost all the business centers in Kaduna are being paid. Politicians usually pay almost all the business centers that if anybody comes to do registration, that pre-registration, do it for them free. Give them a printer that I will be paying for every printer that are being given to each of the electorates who are coming to register for that particular process. Yeah, that's what they do in Kaduna all over. But in Delta, I've been in Asaba, I've been in Warri, I've been in Ugiri, I've been in almost different, it is the voters that usually fund that particular process. So far, I don't think I've seen anything of such. Okay, we are talking about the registration now.
Yes.
I think we are done with the registration. The registration ended by 31st of July 2023.
Yes.
You understand? We have gone beyond that. There's nothing anybody is going to do now that will make INEC to open up again, because I also believe that they are following the timetable as empowered by the Electoral Act. So that has come and gone.
No, but there are lessons to be learned.
That's what I'm going to.
There are lessons.
So what we have just said now, if we had you before now, during that registration period, we would have also, maybe our political actors would have keyed into it to begin to pay for those businesses.
Yes.
It's a very critical thing that those northerners are doing to ensure that they give opportunity for eligible voters to register and be empowered to vote in the forthcoming election. But what we are looking at now is the preparedness of the political parties as far as the next general election is concerned. Okubo, I don't know, you have the list of those who are submitted, the parties that are in the state that are feeding governorship candidates. Can you help us get them and let our viewer understand where we are?
Yeah, it's a crowded field, because I do not know how many in total, but we have for example, we have a Labour Party. Labour Party has one Kempela as its gubernatorial candidate. He actually got in at the very last minute when he...
But a few days
back, I think last week Friday or something, where to be the substitution window, he took advantage of it, and one Ken, Vincent Okweki, so that one withdrew. The candidate withdrew, and leaving Kempela to be Labour Party's major flag bearer. And there's Zenith Labour Party. There's one Emmanuel Oko, Zenith Labour Party. These are all minor parties, but they are there and they could spring a surprise. There's APGA, and that's Great Ogboru. There's APC, of course, the Deputy Senate President, Vioma Gige, is a flag bearer for APC. PDP has that is a little problematic. Until INEC comes out with the final candidate, as it stands, PDP does not have one person, because INEC did not publish the name of anybody in the last election. So that's PDP, but PDP is in there. There's a Social Democratic Party, that's Ologun Kenekbagi as their governorship candidate. There's ADC, African Democratic Congress. Yeah, it has one FA, Ekure, and of course NNPP. You all remember Dr. Good News Agbi of the Bori yesterday. It caused a real sensation when for all he did. So we have like 8 or there, but I'm sure there are more.
I think in Delta State we have about 16 political parties that are feeding them the governorship.
16?
16, yes. Then we have for Oba Emmanuel is for African Democratic Party, ADP. Okay. Then Ekure Efeogene Shidrak is for African Democratic Congress, ADC. And Gwede Jenkins, Ghana Action Alliance. Others are America Emmanuel, National Rescue Movement. Onokiti Helen, Accord Party. Edijala Emmanuel is of People's Election Party. Oko Emmanuel is of Zenith Labour Party. Okoki Vincent Ikechukwu, that's the one you talked about. Kampala has taken over that particular position. Ekene Allied People's Movement. Emunjane Sylvester, Boot Party. Cosmos Annabelle, Action People's Party. And Sonny Ofehe, Young Progressive Party. The question is, if we have this number of political parties in Delta State, are you seeing their presence across the state? Even some, I can't see their secretaries, I can't see their signboard. How are they prepare for this election?
Many of these parties you've just named, they only exist in briefcases. It is only when an election cycle draws near that is when they become. That's when they become active. You and I know that their activity is restricted to from tepid to very lukewarm. I mean, if you compare them with the big parties, so they have really shown that their only objective is to just contest the election. They do not understand what it means to develop the party. I do not know why our politicians lack the patience to develop an idea, because so if a lot of the big parties are solely funded by maybe the governorship aspirants, so it tells you that money is a huge factor. So I do not see them making any impact because they lack structures. That is the truth. They only exist in briefcases of the gubernatorial candidates. You called some, I do not want to disparage any party, but some names are, you begin to wonder whether they are the names of political parties or attached to some other activity other than politics. But the truth must be said, the political parties need to do more than just show up for an election and fizzle out after an election. they must have ulterior motives if they do that, and that has been a tradition.
Okay. Avi, is there any incentive given to political parties that are feeding candidates for election that will make some of these parties, like Okumbo has said, that are not really visible in the state, to be feeding candidates?
I think I always like going back. We practice multi-party system. But the party system means you can actually have as many political parties as you can. And these political parties have been established. And by so doing, people who establish them must actually produce candidates in those political parties during electionary period. And although I think that during 1999, 2003, 2007, there are these certain allocation that is being given to some of these political parties by the federal government, and at the same time, even the state governors usually do so. But it comes to a particular time. These things are no longer there. And some of them usually go and contest in some of these political parties just to make names for themselves. When democracy actually started in 1999, some of these people that contested under some of these political parties, I think they were given, maybe at the end of the election, they were given some appointment, while some of them were actually gifted some monetary compensation for money they must have lost in the course of the election. But as the democracy grows, you find that this patronage, like you said now, begin to reduce. Now it's now winner takes it all. Why some of these people that contested usually don't spend money to either mobilize the voters or spend money in the course of the election. And if you go to some of the polling units, you hardly find any of their agents there, because they don't have the money to, or they deliberately do not want to fund it, because they know that Nigeria, whether you call it a multi-party state, has actually settled for just two political parties, which is the PDP and the APC. I'm talking about Nigeria as a people. Have actually settled for two political parties. So they find out that as I'm content, because I'm content with this election, especially with the ruling party, which is at the center, and the ruling party at the state level, I have no chance. So what they do is that they withdraw their fund withdraw funding of that particular election and just stay there, just like as a Trojan horse. That let us just go and try. Okay. I am not even trying.
Occupy space.
Because this party, like NNPP for example, with the rumor flying around that was bought with over 1 billion naira. At the essence why NNPP was bought for that amount is to create this political awareness. And you expect NNPP not to have a gubernatorial candidate. Then another party again you talk about is the Labour Party. If you look at all the elections in Nigeria that have been conducted thus far with the popularity of the Labour Party, they were nowhere to be found in the ballot, especially the gubernatorial election. They were nowhere to be found, although the presidency will be a different game entirely. So when you're talking about Delta State, I feel that it's between these two, the APC and the PDP, although the APGA, the flag bearer of that particular party, has been contesting for that particular position for a very long time. Although with the latest happenings, you see how unpopular that he has become. Because in those days, when you call the name at that particular time, it usually rings bell. But currently, people are now settled for these two political parties in Delta State.
Okay. But it appears that there's a third force already springing up across the country. That's the Labour Party you mentioned. You understand? Because of the sentiment in times that because of the person flying the flag of the party at the national level, that is the Labour Party. Are you anticipating any surprise? Surprise in the 2020 election?
No. I'm talking not presidency now. I'm talking about. so that
in the state.
Yes, no. Because if you look at the Labour Party in Ekiti, for example, they did the election in Ekiti. When the Labour Party candidate saw that he could not actually pull enough votes, even from his own local government, he went ahead to endorse the APC candidate. In Osun State, where the Labour Party saw that he could not pull enough vote, even in his own ward, he went ahead to endorse the PDP gubernatorial candidate. You can see if you come to Delta State, they always talk about presidency. You hardly anybody, actually you don't see an House of Assembly member who is contesting under the Labour Party Labour Party. You don't see National Assembly candidates. You even hardly see anybody who is coming up here to campaign. One thing about election is mobilization. And mobilization comes with commitment. And commitment, you know what commitment means. It's money. So what one can actually do in this regard is to show some level of commitment by mobilizing the voters. Because the voters cannot just go and start because Labour Party is there and start voting Labour Party. They must know their candidate. And their candidate must be able to mobilize agents in those various polling units. And you could understand this particular.
Do you agree with him or his opinion?
Maybe not because of whether I agree or not. My own take on it is that because the way the political parties are structured in Nigeria, there's the people do not own the parties. The parties rather are held hostage by godfathers who make for example, the world influence. For example, in even internal party positions, it is never free and fair. So, and the people do not subscribe to any party in terms, pay membership dues. So people do not own parties. That is why it is difficult for the political parties to have the financial strength to run an election. And also what says that election must be nationwide. What if you concentrate on a particular state and push your luck there and be very strong there, So the point I'm trying to make is one of the reasons why the election and the politics seem skewed in feel is not developing as it should is because of this. The people do not own the party. They do not own party. So that's a big factor. But I know that for all of the flaws besetting our democracy, it can only begin to grow when several cycles of election are held. People will begin to understand that they need to participate more in what is happening. And you can recall that the enthusiasm and that Nigerians, young voters especially, have demonstrated in this last continuous voters registration is very incredible. So people are becoming more serious and taking
okay, let me take you by what you just said now.
Yeah.
That political parties are now owned by individuals, wealthy individuals in the country.
That's good.
And this other political party we're talking about, like the NNPP, AD, SDP, they are also members of those political parties have owned other bigger parties before now. For example, the candidate for the
New Nigeria People's Party.
No, I'm talking of in the state. The candidate of SDP.
Yes.
Has been in a PDP since the creation of PDP in 1999.
Yes.
And which means you also understand what it takes to belong to a political party. Yes. If you talk of the candidate of Abga now, the great Uboru, he has been in this contest for several years.
Yes.
Are you telling me that they don't know what it takes to run a political party?
No, they don't. If they did, maybe it is the exigencies of the time, of the political space that is forcing them to flow with the crowd, because if they try to do it differently, I'm sure the outcomes will be a lot more favorable. For example, if you have a party that the people own and make them understand that, because it starts from internal democracy. If the party does not respect internal democracy, where in position
we have come beyond that. No, what internal democracy has come has to do with the political party in internal arrangements. But what we are looking at now is party versus party. We are no longer looking at whatever that transpires internal democracy level, because at the end of every election there will be disagreements within the party. But in fortune ahead, like we have had in Delta State, PDP will always come back, go to the drawing board, bring their members together and go for the contest against the opposition political parties. What I'm saying is that, are you saying that these other politicians who have become from the two major political parties to align with these younger or not too strong political parties in the state don't understand the intricacies, the maneuvers and what it takes to really run an election?
Just like a transfer season, if you bring it to football, when you find out that you have almost lost your position in a particular club, that the season is about to start, which is the electionary period is about to start, and there are deadlines. Most of them, like you said, that they don't have, whether they don't know the intricacies to run political parties. Not that they don't know, but some of them just say, let me try, if you fall for my hand. Like in the case of Delta State, for example, we have PDP against PDP, we have the ABGA against APC, for example. If at the end of the day, these two lost out because of these issues now, it don't mean
which two? Which two are you talking about?
PDP against PDP, ABGA against APC. ABGA actually sued APC for because of their primary, that they didn't actually follow the due process in their primary election. So if ABGA, for example, at the end of the day was able to make a case and we even held to the Supreme Court, and this internal handling of PDP affected PDP in the long run, it will now be left to what we now refer to as the lesser political parties. It means the two major political parties in Delta State have been dealt a blow. So those smaller political parties, Delta State will now have to fall back to those smaller political parties. So that's why you see the people that are contesting under this political party, apart from the regular one from ABGA, I don't enjoy mentioning him anyway, apart from the regular one of ABGA, they virtually made their calculation in this light.
So peradventure there's
the two bigger political parties are knocked out.
Unexpected happens.
Yeah, so this kind of the Trojan horse we are referring to them now, they will not be the ones now that Delta State must now conceive to. They have their calculation, just like you said. They have their calculation. But where these two political parties came through, we know how they read the election result now. When you see PDP 15,000, APC 3,000, NNPP you see maybe 100 or 50 in every election in Nigeria.
Would you know electoral
before now? Before now. If you still follow, that's why I like history. Go back to the last election that were conducted now. When they were reading I followed the election. I have to be awake all through when they were reading the various result sheets in each of the local government. You will find out that where PDP and APC have a total number of 30,000 votes in a particular local government, the rest political party share a paltry sum of about 1,200 votes.
And because they're not around.
It's as simple as
that. That's what we are saying now. So what I'm saying in essence is that their hope now is is the blow they expected from these two parties. Because you cannot see, let us understand democracy. Democracy is not a kind of a dreamer's kind of a process. Democracy has its process, and that process will be followed by the various political parties before you can win an election. People must know you. You must do one or two things for this people to say, okay, we have confidence in this person. We don't have confidence in this. And these are some of the process I was trying to mention. You must go to the various communities to do what we call door-to-door campaigning. That's about. Then number two, you go to the rural areas and sell yourself to them. Do you think the rural areas usually look at this particular phone to know what is going on in the internet? Some of them have no access to even electricity. So how do you expect those people now to say, okay, you are very popular, let me vote for you? You must go to them and sell yourself to them. That's what I'm saying. But for this other political party, I have not seen them in Delta State. The party that I've been seeing thus far in Delta State is the PDP and APC. Although ABGA is still a little bit kind of pushing because of its gubernatorial candidate.
When you are doing your analysis, you made us to understand that it goes beyond having a candidate. The candidates and their followers must really canvass for support.
Yes.
The other political parties, I keep saying, how is their presence being felt in the state?
That's the point. The point must be made that the lesser political parties in Delta State have a huge mountain to climb, and that must be because of finance. The big parties have the money to throw around and mobilize and
aside money, they have followers already.
No, you must understand
that they have followers.
No, how did
that's why they are saying that most people that are
APC in the last 6 years, nobody could touch them with a 10-foot pole in Delta State. They beg people to buy their forms, but over time they have grown to
because APC are as the center now. They derive their power, they derive their strength from
however they do it is not our problem. What we are saying is, if you do not have the financial muscle, it is going to be very difficult for you to sell your candidacy. And these parties, Zenith Labour Party and some other names you have just mentioned, they are not anywhere. Where will they find the resources to pursue a full campaign? Even SDP, who has supposedly the industrialist that is backed by the industrialists, it will have its limitations compared to a party like the APC or the PDP or even the NNPP.
Let us understand this thing.
So I'll come back to you. Let's open up the line for contribution to be made.
Yes.
Because we have already eaten so deep into our time. We want to open up the line so that we can make contribution on the topic we are discussing, suggestion or their view on how they feel about the whole situation. The number to call is 0812-106-9621. The number again is 0812-106-9621. And the second number is 0807-843-4277. 0807-843-4277. You were about saying something before I cut you off.
Let me just say quickly. If you look at there's one election in 2019 election, a young man contested for House of Assembly election. I know the young man do not have much. Let me not say does not have money anyway. In Ethiopia West, I think his name is this Eduvwie under the Labour Party. This young man was able to garner over 5,000 votes. Not that he went to cajole these voters with money. What he did was this door-to-door campaign. He went to all the markets. He went to all those communities that do not actually know about the party, which is Labour Party. He went about and he was able to gather about 6,000 votes in that particular election. Ibori's daughter contested in that election and she won the election. Ibori's daughter took first, APC took second, which is Aguda, I think it's right. Anyway, APC took second, while Labour Party took third. Not that the money was actually there. What is about democracy? Once you don't have the money, you must work with your body. But in the case of Delta State, none of these political parties are working with their body. Go to the market. You don't need money. You don't need to give market for money. Go to the market. Let your followers start singing, campaign to them. Tell the market women what you want to do for them. But in the case of our own, we don't like this miracle kind of election thing. You just want to sit in the house and win an election. No, now with this current electoral act, it is no longer possible. The people must be mobilized at all levels. That's why I use that first stage. In the course of the voters registration, the political parties should mobilize the people to go and register. In whatever means, do some kind of enticement or whatever you want to call it, to go and do the registration.
How do you do that when you do not have the resources? I always say the point that must be made is that you talk about somebody running for a constituency election.
Yes.
Now, what did he do? He invested his time and effort. Did he not add money to it? Money must have been spent. For him to go around the world in that particular constituency, he must have spent money.
No, even the money point. If the money is spent, there's nobody that is contesting the election that does. No, you will spend money. Spend money. But that is my own. You can have your money and sit at home and thinking that party should start moving around now. The little fund you have, yes, go to them even if it's one couple that you have. Tell them we don't have money. Don't give them money. Want to support us. Yes, that's what the point is meant to make.
But the point I'm making is that no political party runs an election without resources, and I'm saying that the parties as they stand now have not shown
the party contested for president. Yeah. Chris Okote contested for president. Chris Okote is from Abraka. Pat Utomi is somewhere in Delta State. Do you know that these people did not even come to their state?
Pat Utomi came.
No, they didn't come. No, it was during the election they came.
No, he came before the election.
No, now we know.
Because it was in APC and when certain powers took the party structure from their hand, they felt obliged to leave. That was what happened now. But for mobilizing people, I'm saying that our parties lack the financial wherewithal.
No, if you use the word financial, sir.
That's where we are getting important. That's where we are getting over 60%.
No, that's
resources.
Yes. What we are saying is that we travel a lot. We pay our transport, right? We go for this what you call meetings. These are meetings. We go to club meetings. We attend area. We attend all these things. In the course of attending these things, we spend money. When you know that your political party does not have the wider coverage, look at Peter Obi, for example. He knows that he does not have the money to actually fund his presidential campaign. What is he doing? He is moving to places and speaking from his own mouth. And from there, he's gaining popularity everywhere all over the country.
Whether that translates to actual electoral vote?
No, it will, definitely.
Let's understand something. I get your point, Avi. Political parties are aware that they go to spend money. The magnitude of the money they are going to spend may not be up to what the ruling parties will spend at the state level and the national level will spend. There is a movement now going on that people are saying we have tested APC, we have tested PDP. Can we try another political party? That is the mindset of
the obedient movement.
We can't be sure. This is a hypothesis. You can't be sure.
Let me lie because I'm going to ask you a question. You understand? As soon as I'm done. Whether it is hypothesis or not, hypothesis is what you use to begin to start your project, Abi. This is the idea I have. This is what I think I want to experiment.
That is the level.
In the course of hypothesis must come before the actual experiment.
Before the theory are validated.
Yes. So since there is already hypothesis that we didn't have before now in 20 in 2019.
Yes.
So there's every likelihood that the hypothesis may go into becoming a theory. You understand at a given time. Are you not saying that because of the failure of what APC used to campaign in 2015, that PDP has failed? They now went about to start, started talking to people how they are going to rescue Nigeria, how they are going to remedy Nigeria, and Nigerians, whether you like it or not, voted for them. Now the Nigerians have tried APC and they have also discovered that what we thought they would do, they have not done it for us. Their mind is already made up that we may or may not support these two political parties. Law, like we pointed out earlier on, may fall on these other smaller parties. So, Okunbowa, if you have to vote as a Nigerian, be considering the condition we find ourselves today, what will be your mindset when you are going to cast your vote?
These things are not. They are no. It's not set in stone. It's not cast in stone.
No, I'm asking you now. Whether it's cast in stone. Your mindset on the present economy of Nigeria and the kind of leadership you want us to have in 2020. Will you canvass for what and what?
Yes, I can canvass for a candidate from the big two, from APC or PDP. Why not? Because I probably will say that my own arguments may differ from yours. I probably will say, okay, candidate APC. I can see what he has done in other parts of the country, and I think he stands a good chance. I can make that argument, and I'll be.
Have you been paid to do that?
Why are you asking me to?
No, has anybody given you money to do that?
No, but you are asking me my own opinion.
That also could be the mindset of other people.
Yes.
That in making decision on who to vote for.
Exactly. But the point is, until the election validates all this, it is something that we can't be sure of that it is. We can't be sure that a third force will become so powerful and less powerful from the two major parties.
That is not what we are saying. You always anchor your own that money. Money is a major challenge.
I'm saying that money constitutes over 60% of the input into a successful election.
Yes. The truth is that let us consider two things. Number one, the rural poor and the urban poor. The reason why you see Nigeria still poised at these two political parties is because of the distance rich and the distant poor. What I'm saying is that there is this wide gap between the rich and the poor. Like if you go to the north, for example, you can't tell Alamajiri start speaking this English like he said. So this English you can't speak them to Alamajiri. Alamajiri only know one thing, Enamuni. That is not my own. Then if you come to the south, you go to some of those villages, there are problems there, especially in getting to those people. But in the case of this Labour Party presidential candidate, often the urban, should I call it middle class or a bit okay, or let me use general word, elites, have actually pitched their tent in voting for the Labour Party candidate.
You can't be sure.
No, I think I can actually give you statistics.
There's no statistics to back that.
No, I know what I'm talking, sir.
No, which is not so applicable to other political parties. You don't know exactly where they go to vote.
The question you ask yourself is what is the percentage of this group, especially in the urban areas? If you want to look at the urban areas, for example, you can classify them by estates. You have the GROA, you have the not too good environment, but it is an environment whereby you must at least have a means of livelihood that you can actually use to afford afford that particular rentage to live in that particular area. The only way any other person can live in such area is very simple. Maybe working there as a cleaner, or working as a gateman or security person. Those are the only. And if you look at those people by percentage, they are very few. Then go to the rural poor, which is the urban poor area, which we call them the ghetto. So in Port Harcourt they call them Abasha. In Lagos they refer to them as they have different names they give them. If you go to those areas, you find out that in a particular compound you will see like 20 families living in one compound. If you go to the GRA, you will find out that in that GRA you will see one particular family will be living in a mansion. And if you look at this urban rich, they don't often give birth. So what I'm saying is that the disadvantage I think the Labour Party will have is the ability to convince this rural poor. Because the rural poor to some extent lack the basic means of life. Number one, the education. The education is usually packed in especially these our public schools. In Delta, we have very good schools. What about the North? You can't even find it there. That's why Goodluck Jonathan was trying to actually bring education to them. But it became one of the greatest undoing of Jonathan. In doing so, that was why they now voted against Jonathan. Because according to Aminu Kanu says, see, these people, please educate them. That if you don't educate them, they will come back and haunt your children. But the other elites in the other during those particular process refuse to do so because they feel that the Talakawas can only be ruled when their leaders ask them to support whosoever they want them to support. And this particular that I'm talking to you now spread all around the northern region. So I find it very difficult that it will actually stay true by that my analysis. But for the urban a little bit okay, the few of the urban poor, he may actually garner a lot of votes from them.
We are not particular about Labour Party. We are looking at the other, all the political parties.
No, it's Labour.
How they are going to fare in the 2020 election.
No, the third force is the Labour Party.
Apart from the governorship election, there are other positions that political parties are feeding candidates, like House of Senate, House of Representative, State House of Assembly. So Okungwa once canvassed that political parties should begin to look at how they can win a certain area.
Yes.
You can say, okay, for this local government, we are going to fight hard to win. For example, Osimile South local government area. Yes. That political party now will work hard. Yes. They will not be able to win about 5 local governments in the state, but if they win one this time around, they can work harder to win others 2-3 the subsequent elections. Do you understand? So do you also see the possibility of further political parties springing up either in the House of Assembly, Senate, or House of Representatives outside the governorship election?
We'll come back to the same problem. I do not see them making no surprises.
Yes.
The parties that are the dominant parties are going to take the big stakes. That's the truth. And I've also said that when parties begin to limit their resources, compound their resources and limit their scope to in some geographical space, political space, they make more impact. Maybe any of the small parties, for example, can decide, look, we do not. There are 25 constituencies there. We are not going to push for that. Let's look for where we have a comparative advantage and let us put all our resources there. Even if they will not win, they can be a major force in determining who wins, and they become a major player. But we do not have, our politicians do not have that time. They do not have the time to develop and nurture a political party. And I'm saying that is the bane of political parties in Nigeria. I mentioned something about the time of UPUs. Maybe I didn't mention the particular political party. People paid dues and they had a say. Until we begin to do that, I'm not sure these small parties can make a dent. But we appear to be heading towards a tripartite race where 3 parties appear to become another party is trying to upset them and it's proving very strong. That's good for us. But if you put everything together, our politicians are not patient enough to nurture parties and let it grow. That is where I think we have a problem. But for them to make any dent in this election, 2023 election, whether in Delta State, whether in nationally, I don't see any miracle happening.
In responding to that particular, the greatest undoing of these political parties, like he used the word, I think let me use the word from him, they are lazy. These parties. These people, if you ask them, bring a document for manifesto, what you intend to do for the state. They don't. PDP has its MOB, which is the Sheriff Oborori campaign organization. I think that's what I will mention for now, is the valid candidate of
you can't say that because
I know what I'm saying. I know what I'm saying.
Understand my
yes.
Let the
okay. Then the other.
It is not their problem. They don't know who is.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Let's say we have the mob. Then we have the modernization. Then we have the edge. These are documents, policy documents that have been drafted by these candidates. Go and ask these other political parties, say, okay, you want to contest election, Abi? You want to become governor of Delta State? Give me a document, a written document, that you have actually drafted what you intend to do for the state. They don't have it. These people cannot just start spending their money on nothing. You can't put something on nothing and expect it to stand. It's just like the 2015 that we all rush and say change. Where a particular kind, which is these parties, that's why INEC should do more to say, if you must contest for governor, you must come up with a manifesto document.
I think that's supposed to be the political.
It should be a criteria.
That's supposed to be the political party as a responsibility.
Yeah, but the electoral act.
The individual that is vying for the election is not vying for is vying under the political.
Yes,
and political parties should be known for their belief, their ideologies, and
what they live ideology. Those are English that were being spoken in 1960, 1963. 1959 election, 1962 election, 1979 election, 1983 election. Those are the English that were being spoken, which is ideology. At that time, Nigeria actually had, you see the three major political parties at that particular time have a particular ideology, and even the Aminu Kanu's political party in the north, which is NEPU, also came up with its own ideology. People voted according to the various political parties' ideology. But in this case, it's just cling into power and think of what to do for the state. But as it stands, if you look at Delta State, for example, it is only these two political parties that have a policy document. That is a manifesto document that everybody can actually access, even without this particular political party coming to you to actually campaign to you. They are just these two party. I think maybe there may be others, but for now, the one that is so prominent are these two political parties. So you don't expect Delta to start voting for people who ordinarily you don't even know what they want to do for the state.
Hello. Well, it's just because from what you said earlier that we are not seeing them. They may have their manifestos, or they may have the blueprints of what they want to do for debtors. But where are they marketing it?
No, the elections have not, the campaigns have not started. But that is still not to excuse them from the fact that they need to be much more, they should be on the front foot, even though, because the parties that have the resources appear to be the ones in the media. They appear to be in the headlines, taking the headlines every day. So they need to do more, and maybe, but I do not subscribe to the fact that INEC should overregulate political parties. If your manifesto, if you do not have anything to offer, the electorate will ignore you and not vote for you, and that will be to your own sorrow. and to your own shame. So if you do not have something to offer in a very strategic and if you don't have a blueprint, it shows that you set out to fail. So it's not our problem whether they come prepared or not. But I know that the smaller political parties, if they work hard enough, they can at least make an impact in the election. Because with the new INEC, the Electoral Act, what people are saying is one man, one vote. That is what it is. It has guaranteed. And I'm sure that anybody who works really hard can spring a surprise. We saw a lot of it happen in the last 3 elections where the process wasn't an issue. It was rather people were talking about vote buying, which has nothing to do with the electoral process.
The immediate past election.
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Okay. Do you see Nigerians, really trusting the INEC to do a credible and transparent election in 2023?
The problem now is this electoral college. The Nigeria Electoral College has not done enough to educate the voters on this present electoral act. The majority of the voters still feels that 2015, 2019, 1999, and you can name them. That I beg you are wasting your time. Who go win? With this, if you listen to some persons talking, sir, you will really understand. They still feel that this election can still be rigged. Even with all the elections, like it was held, the first place they tested these beavers was in Isoko. The rerun they did in Isoko was the first place they tested the beavers, and it worked perfectly well the first time they used it. That's on record. If you enter INEC website, that's in INEC website. Isoko hosted the first beavers machine, and it worked perfectly. And if you look at that particular election, you find out that the other political party was still in that euphoria that they can use federal might to win the election, instead of going about canvassing for votes. What we are saying in essence is that the electoral colleges in Nigeria, which should be held by the various political parties, have not actually done enough to educate the people on the new electoral act and the reason why they should stand still and actually go there that day to vote. That's why you see these two political parties still remain dominant. Normally, people actually know their strength at this particular time. They can say, like say these two no will favor us. Let us move to this particular one. And once they make such decisions, it will be good for them because immediately they know that it is their vote that keeps somebody there. It is their vote that will make somebody to continue to be in the particular office, or their vote can actually remove the person who did poorly in the course of its administration. You see politicians started sitting tight. But as it stands, these people are still far away of the knowledge of this current electoral act.
Well, I think INEC is not the only stakeholder in an electoral process. The political parties are there, the community are there, the CSOs are there. Don't you think that other stakeholders can complement INEC in educating the masses on the provisions of the Electoral Act?
It's a very the election is for the purpose of governance, so everybody should because governance permits our lives, so we should all be interested in it. So that is why, aside from the job that INEC has been saddled with, a community-based organization, churches, all of them, they should participate, whether individuals, they should participate in the electoral process.
Yes.
Because that is one of the reasons why television stations are and this kind of program is being held. Nigerians must be educated on the electioneering process, and don't be surprised that at the level that Nigerians have taken to this issue politics, you'll be amazed. INEC came out with a figure of 93 million voters, registered voters. It tells you that people are becoming much more interested in how government runs. So I believe that the people have woken up, maybe not completely woken up, because I heard Avi talk about people still held with the mindset of electoral rigging, and people are still cynical that the electoral law, the new electoral act can actually produce transparent, clear victories.
So are you saying that rigging has been eradicated?
No, these beavers, that the way it works, it lends, it makes it very difficult for rigging. Take for example in Osun State, where was it Ekiti? Yeah, it was in Ekiti State, where the candidate had lost. He went to court, and the court, his prayer was that vote buying was a major problem and not the process.
Not the process.
So that tells you a lot that we should go out and vote. Your vote will count. And Nigerians are very smart and intelligent people, I can tell you that. Because it has reached a point where they say, no, we are tired of, because Nigerians are actually, the conversation is actually, has APC done better than PDP? And a lot of people PDP did incredibly well. I mean, when they make these comparisons, and they are saying, wait a minute, there's a third force. There's another group saying we can do better, and Nigerians have fallen in love with that third force, so anything can happen.
And the truth, like I keep on saying, we must try much as possible to realize these facts. These politicians, before now and currently, are not really interested in our votes. I'm saying this on the premise of the fact that we shouldn't be the one to come on here to be telling the people how important is their votes.
We're part of it.
Because the smaller, yes, I know.
As journalists,
yes, because the politicians believe that the smaller the merrier. They don't enjoy crowd. They believe that if you have 2 million registered voters in Delta State, you could imagine that 1 million of those voters go on that day to vote. It will be quite expensive with this current political dispensation, with this new electoral act. All they want is that keep these people afloat. Do not let these people know much about their power, which is the PVC. Reduce the communication of these things to a mass of the people, because I don't see any reason why people are not even encouraged to even go and do this voters registration. That's number one. Then number two,
so when it was ongoing,
yes, we're not encouraged. Then number two, the level of sensitization on this new electoral act is reduced by these two major political parties. The party that is really anchoring on this sensitization of this new electoral act is the Labour Party. Especially, we are talking about Nigeria in general. If you go to the media, you see the Labour Party we can win. The electoral act has only provided the people to make choices. This, that. But if you look at the major political parties, are not even interested in all that.
So it could be the strategy of the party you just mentioned to to win same party.
And
that party, the political party, have their own strategy to retain their supporters.
That particular party, Labour Party, believe that the more people come out to vote, the more they will garner enough votes. That's their belief. I cannot say for sure if it will actually work for their favor. But for these other political parties, they believe that with what they have at hand is enough to actually give them victory at the poll, especially in the presidency. But if you come to Delta, you find out that the Labour Party gubernatorial candidate to some extent is still doing very, very poorly. Like Mr. Kokubo has said, that there was an issue even within their party. It was of recent, they resolved the issue when a particular person had to step down for another person. Then if you come to this ABGA APC, you find out that this ABGA now has even sued the APC too on the same thing. So you know the whole thing now is not on the people now. The whole thing currently now is on the political parties. So if we must actually progress, the electoral colleges, like you said, electoral college is not just for the INEC. Electoral college, you should have the one in your party. The party should have NGOs, CSOs, the federal government through the orientation agencies, the state government through the orientation agencies, and even the state government itself must also do everything most as possible to make to educate the people on the new electoral act, so that these people will have confidence in the electoral process.
Yeah, but can I just say something? Because why would bash INEC and the federal government? I think why not giving them an outstanding mark? I can say, because you'll be amazed that people in the rural areas, because of radio, jingles, whether through television or radio, there's a lot of sensitization going on. But that must be the reason behind 96 million voters registering for this 2023 election. So it tells you that whether it is because of sensitization or whether because people are just fed up with the situation, whether that is the reason why they've gone to vote, I do not know. But I know that
going to register.
Going to register, I do not know. But what we have seen is that I see jingles. I listen to jingles. I watch TV clips on the election. Telling people to go vote. It might just be percolating. You can't be sure.
I think more of that will come when the campaign starts.
So
because you know that any timetable, and are also following the provisions of the electoral law, so that no party will be found wanting. Hello.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening. Your name and location.
I'm in Asaga. I'll come for by the name.
Okay, madam. Go ahead.
Among all these people now, who do you trust? Among the people coming out for presidency and governorship,
who to trust?
Who to be trust? Because they have been in government, they have been cheating us along, they are coming up again. Who is going to lead us well?
Okay, I think we'll wait until the campaign starts so that we know what each political candidate have to offer Nigerians and the state in particular.
Okay. What I'm talking about is the next future. All these delegates, we are not supposed, and they are not supposed to represent us.
Okay.
To bring us somebody to be president. Presidency elections supposed to have come through the public. The public should have decided if it's somebody that's going to be the president for all the political parties. Now they'll send delegates, they'll give them money, they don't bring somebody to the highest bidder. And all the highest bidders are the people that are embezzled of money. They are the people that have run Nigeria into debt. So these things have to be corrected.
Okay.
Can I just
Thank you
respond?
very much.
Thank you very much, madam. You will respond. So you can respond now. But she's still watching.
Because from what she has said, she's complaining about delegates. Because that delegates, ad hoc delegates are not the other statutory delegates. They all emerge through a credible process, democratic process. So it is only when, because people selected them, that is where it becomes a problem. If it was a much more transparent manner, they did the selection
Of the delegates.
I'm not sure there's any reason to quarrel.
I think the open, what is it called now? Option A4 would have solved this.
Would have solved the completely.
Where every member of the party will come and big selection of
That's it.
to carry the party's flag.
If you look at that aspect of primaries, party team, it has nothing to do with the people.
No, what
The party
is saying is that the selection from the political party
Is a problem.
invariably will have a direct impact on the general.
No, what we are saying
Because if at the
is-
party at the party level they select a candidate that cannot deliver, you have option of selecting among when we are to make final decision now. We have the option to select among the candidates that are selected that may not be the best.
Good. Sister, no, the thing is that this same euphoria of this two-party system, that is our head. Although we use the word multi-party, there's nothing like, if you come to our own consciousness, there's not like multi-party is two-party system that we do practice.
We have multi-party. That is why we have about
Yes,
system.
if you notice that this political party actually bring their candidate based on the delegate collecting money and all that, you go for the very one you feel is credible. That's the whole thing. But just that we believe that APC, PDP are the only political parties in Nigeria. That's why we are more concerned about how they conduct their primary more than looking at how other political parties actually conduct their primary.
But that is not usually the case. You will see pockets of small parties holding the seats in Senate and even House of Rep.
What is the percentage?
No, but it is still a presence.
Yeah.
YPP. Yeah, it's still a presence. So let us not discount the strength of these small parties, because they've been hanging in there since 1999, a lot of them. And all they have to require is one switch that turns in their favor. If, for example, if it was option A4 that was when they did this constitutional review, I mean this electoral, if it was option A4 that was inserted and there was no problem, Nigerians won't be talking like this anymore. We'll be electing, we'll be backing whoever emerged, because we're sure that the process will have been credible. So let's give them a little credit.
Before we round up, I want to let Madam know that Nigerians have the option to decide who will lead them. There are, for example, in Delta State, we have about 16 political parties that are already vying for governorship. So during their campaign, begin to assess what they have to offer the state. At the national level, when they also start campaign, also let's beam our satellite on all the candidates to know the best that will come from us. The three of us here may not know the best candidate that will represent the state and present the nation at large. So that is what I want to say. So having said that, I think we have come to the end of the today's episode of the meeting point. The topic has been 2023 election, state of preparedness of political parties in Delta State, and our guests have been Comrade Aiwerioghene of the Nation newspapers. I want to thank you for making to today's episode of the meeting point, and Eduvwie Avi, Research Fellow, Center for Leadership and Complex Military Studies, NDA Kaduna. Avi, I want to thank you. While we await for political campaign proper, let's begin to get our mind towards focusing on the manifesto of the various candidates of the political parties, with a view to deciding who will represent us at the state level and at the national level. Because the decision we will make in this 2020 election will also go a long way on how this country will either remain where it is or move forward. My name is Mike Elikok. Join us same time tomorrow.